What's up, everyone? Scott and Tom back with episode 11 of the Play It Down Sports Podcast. And this week we are closing out the golf season with a bang. We'll do a quick recap of the Tour Championship and the LIV Team Championship in Michigan as well. We will be looking at the closing games of week 1 of the college football season. And Jonesey will have some nice futures for you all to sink your teeth into. We have a new segment this week discussing some of our pet peeves and some clueless people out there in the world. And of course, we're going to close it all out with the first looks at the NFL season as we dive into the AFC Conference this week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So grab your beverage of choice and let's play it down. All right, Jonesy, what you got tonight?
So we got a red wine. It's a wine from Spain, Garnacha. It's very, very tasty, deep wine, very fruity, but not too sweet. So we get... How about yourself? It looks like are you back on Stella?
I am not. I went even weaker tonight. A little Miller Lite.
Nice.
So I want to make a couple of announcements from last week's show. We definitely had some technical issues with Sean O'Leary in the studio. I do want to thank Sean for coming. I do want to apologize a little bit about the audio. I know it was difficult to hear, but we got most of the that we could.
He was a good guest. Good guest to have on.
It was a great guest, great conversation. We actually heard from a few people out there. I heard from Tyler and PJ. PJ came up to me on Sunday. I saw him at Picatinny, and he was mentioning the podcast. I think he enjoyed making the top 5.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a big accomplishment. Congratulations to PJ on making the top 5. I know others like Jason Washburn and others were more disappointed, but.
Obviously, we saw Jason at poker, and he was still practicing on the floor.
Took him a while to figure out how to knock the balls into the hole,
the coffee cup,
which is maybe why you don't make the top 5. So.
Also, shout out to Tyler. He took some advice from us and made some money on Justin Rose a couple weeks back.
Oh yeah, we talked about that on the podcast. Yep.
So I guess we'll kind of move into.
Speaking of, just a quick shout out, Alex Abad and Tyler.
Yes.
Whereas took down the
Wilson
Cantrell tournament up at.
They took you and Dave out.
They took us out in the semis, and then they took out Jason, the wannabe top 5 putter, and Kyle Johnson in the finals. Yeah, and it was a good match. I think 3-1 was the score. So. Not that we want this podcast to be dominated by all the Tabor stuff necessarily, but that's a big accomplishment to win that tournament.
It is, and I'm not even a member of Tabor, so
yeah,
it definitely will not be dominated by Tabor. It just is right now a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
So you had a lovely week out in Vegas?
Yes. Yeah, actually weekend. So traveled out on Friday, came back on Sunday. And the whole goal of that trip, unlike maybe most trips to Vegas, was a little bit more business related, where entered a bunch of football contests that have to be entered in Las Vegas. And what you see the picture there is of the stadium swim pool at the Circa,
which looks phenomenal.
It really is. I mean, it's 6 pools. The screen's 143 feet wide. You could see all of the games while you're either hanging out in the pool or, I mean, I was even swimming laps Sunday morning in the pool. There wasn't many people there early in the morning, and they had the golf up. They had the U.S. Open up. I mean, it's just an awesome experience out there. So what I did was I entered you, myself, Al Vig, and my buddy Dylan. We pulled some money together and we entered into several survivorship contests, and we also entered pick'em contests. Right, so it goes the whole season, both at Circa and the Superbook, the Westgate Superbook. You're wearing a shirt.
Wearing the shirt.
I've got the hat on from the Westgate that was given to us as entering the contest. And actually, Circa gave out hats as well. And the one thing about this is you have to enter it through a proxy service. So you have to enter them in Nevada. From gaming rules require you to do it. It's a huge contest that's getting more and more popular. People fly out and fly back in the same day. There are people that actually don't even stay out there. They just go to get in this contest, and they know they've got to fly out to get in it. And it's a $15 million overlay for the survivorship and $6 million for the millions contest. So, and then the Westgate's a little bit smaller, so we're gonna have some fun with that. And for anybody who's listening to this, you may very well have heard about it. You can get all this information about these contests online, and you want to fly out, you have till September 6th to do it. And I'm not an advertisement for these contests, right? It's like,
no, we just enjoy it.
We're spending our money on it.
We just enjoy it.
So we had a good time with that. And, they also put us in a free blackjack tournament when I was finished third in that tournament and won our group a free futures play on the Bills. And they funded me $2,000 and said, put on whatever team you want. So we've got a futures play on the Bills.
All right.
To win the Super Bowl.
Can they get to the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I'm hoping this is their year.
I'm hoping. So we're going to pivot a little bit into the Tour Championship. Tommy Fleetwood does get it done. He takes it down. So I have a couple of fun facts up here. Obviously, last week we discussed the 2024 top 10 in driving. Only 4 made it into the top 10. This year, it was actually 5. Went up a little bit. Also, in driving accuracy in 2024, it was 7. This year, it was also only 5. That went down a little bit. However, what stayed true was the shots gained tee to green. It was 8 made the top 10 in 2024, and 7 made it this time. But Tommy does take it down. It wasn't as thrilling. I mean, he kind of was leading the whole way.
It's always more thrilling when he finds a way to blow it up at the end and make it exciting. But I was really happy to see him win.
I think a lot of people were.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about betting on him and couldn't get there with pre-flop. I did do an small in-play on him because I still got 14-1, which was his initial odds on Friday morning. And he was -6. He was behind, and there's still everything was favored on Scheffler, who was -7. But right. I said, you know what? I'm not going to miss getting something out of him if he wins this, because I've been, feeling like he can do it all year, and sure enough, he did. And Cantley was another in play that I had, and the two of them were leaders going into Sunday. And but it was beyond that. I just felt good for Fleetwood to finally pull one down.
I had an in play on Henley. That obviously didn't pay off.
Right.
But I had a small in play on Henley, and I had a small in play on Young. Those are the 2 I did. But I did have the top 5 for Henley. Right. So I won that one. Yep. And Morikawa was a huge disappointment.
But I already told you that was going to happen.
You did. And I don't understand. He comes out like gangbusters. He's -6.
Save your money, Scooter. Do not bet on Morikawa. He's changing caddies every other week. He's got no stability. He was even on Friday.
He was even on Saturday. And he was even through like 12 holes on Sunday. And then I just stopped looking.
Yeah.
He just never got, whatever. That was, so I missed my parlay. But that's all right. But speaking of the Tour Championship, let's, I'm wondering if it's, do you consider this a win since there was only 30 people? I know they're the 30 hypothetical best on the tour this year, which...
When you say win, say a little bit more about what you mean.
So, does this go down as a PGA Tour win? I know technically it does. But in such a small field, to me, this is like winning Tiger's event of the Hero World. I mean, yes, I know it technically is a win, but is it?
Well, I think it depends on what you look at. If you say I made it through the final round of the playoffs and I'm playing for this huge prize and a championship at the end of the year, it clearly is an important victory and the pinnacle of the season. If you're asking whether it ought to be rewarded in a way of points or in a way of some other requirement, I don't know if that's what you're getting at. If you're getting at something beyond, because to me, you've advanced yourself round by round into the finals. And so now, yes, you're going to get paid because you've won the FedEx, right?
Correct.
So listen, I don't think you're disputing that necessarily.
I am not. It's more... So Scotty clearly had the best season. Won 2 majors, won multiple tournaments.
Oh, okay. I see what you're getting at. Like
you got Tommy coming in, winning the FedEx Cup. So my thing is, they'll vote for Player of the Year and all that kind of crap, and Scotty's going to win all that.
Right.
But should there be essentially two different trophies. Should there be, and I don't know if there should be, let me say
Right.
that first off, but does consistency throughout a season weigh more
Well, you just talked about this last week with the Ron
with John
Neiman
Rahm?
thing on the
Correct.
Live Tour, right? I think here my view on the Fleetwood win is it depends on how you want to reward this championship. They got away from the points,
Which they had to.
right?
The
And
starting strokes, I think
starting
everyone
strokes,
kind of, everyone, I don't think there was many people that liked that, let alone.
right. The only thing that did is it started you at least rewarding you if you were at the top with a lead, and if you were at the bottom qualifier with you get in, but you're going to be at a deficit.
Right.
So I wasn't as much against that system because what it did is it was like doing a poker tournament where you start off a tournament based on how you've done during the season. You get more chips if you're first versus if you're 30th.
Correct.
Now the spread was a little wide, and I think they decided, no, we're going to just keep eliminating guys, and when you can make the top 30, if you get in, you have a chance to. If you perform during
Right.
that week, you have a chance to win it. I don't know if I agree with which is better because before they did the strokes thing, they used to just accumulate points, and there was limited number of guys who could get in and could still win this tournament, but couldn't win the FedEx because they didn't have enough points.
Tiger would literally, if there was 5 events, would skip 3 of them because it just didn't matter.
Yeah. And
Now
so,
you had that also happen this year with Rory. He knew it didn't matter if he was in first place, second place, or 10th place, as long as he was in the top 30.
I think I like the really old system where your points matter, and even though the finals are worth double or triple points, which I think is important to do, right? The more if you make it into a deeper tournament, the points and the money become higher.
Right.
But if you had accumulated so many points from your performance in the season, A, you win the season trophy, and then B, you may not have to win the FedEx Cup to win the FedEx, right? To win the season
Correct.
long. So it's just a matter of how these guys want to do it. Then they keep switching it around, and it's I think we can move on because I'm sure there's debate all over the place on
there
this.
is. My last point will be this. I do think they should move the final tournament. I think having it at East Lake every year, I think favors certain golfers over others.
There's no doubt about it.
But we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that. But here's some photos also from the Tour Championship in this slide. But I do want to mention the Team Championship of LIV. And
of course you do.
Go ahead. I know you're going to want to drink some of your wine because I'm mentioning LIV. So the Team Championship, I think, was the first time in the 4 years they've done the Team Championship that was absolutely a success. The format that they did it in with everyone score counting. So the breakout is this. There are 13 teams in LIV. 12 and 13 do a playing game on Thursday. On Friday, they have the quarterfinals. It's 12 teams, so there's 6 quarterfinal matches. On Saturday, the 6 winners go up against in the semifinals. After Saturday, the top 3 go to Sunday, and they do the final top 3. And every score counts. It's just an aggregate of all 4 golfers.
That's in the finals.
That's in the finals.
The format's a little different in the quarters.
In the quarters. So in the quarters and semis, it's match play. It's 2 single matches and then a 4-ball with partners. And that's how you advance until Sunday. And Sunday is straight 4 golfers, aggregate score. And Bryson shot 62.
So the top 3 teams, all 4 golfers play, and do they play with each other, or do they cross them across the teams?
It's all across the team. So since it's 4,
but everybody's score is counting. It's like having an aggregate. Yeah.
So you got 3 playing on each hole, but
yeah, I think that's a good format because think about where you win a tournament in an amateur tournament. Most of the volatility is occurring when, if it's a 2-man team, you might play a scramble, then you might play a better ball. But when you get to that aggregate and both scores count,
everything counts.
One reason that Alex and Tyler won Wilson Cantrell was one of them was in every single hole, and they were masters at making sure one of them was able to get a good score. Aggregate, they may not have done as well. And I'm not saying that aggregate is necessarily better, but it's more challenging because both golfers have to perform. hole after hole. And in this case,
It
all
makes
four
every
had to
shot.
perform.
It makes
right.
every shot count.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Fox did real well with the coverage. The Michigan showed out. Please, we have some of the photos going up on the screen now. It was a success. We'll see where LIV goes next year. There's talk about them
Does
going
that mean
to.
we don't talk about LIV until next year?
Not till next year.
Wow.
But I will tell you, there is some talk. I'm going to throw it out there now. There's going to be two things that are going to happen in the offseason for LIV. They're going to introduce a 72-hole tournament. It's going to be some sort of LIV major.
It's about time.
And they are going to add a 14th team this year. Those are my predictions. Okay, so that wraps up the golf season. It's been a heck of a year. So we do have the FedEx Fall Note coming. The Procore Championship is the next tournament. It's not for a couple weeks.
Right.
I think it's the weekend of September 11th.
Right. They have the. I mean, those tournaments start to count the points right away you get weaker fields, but you've got
again only 100 tour cards, not 125 anymore.
Yeah. I hope it matters.
And right now, the only tour cards that are secured are top 70. So.
Yep.
The other interesting about the Procore, though, Keegan Bradley, who, when this drops tomorrow, we should know who's in the Ryder Cup. But Keegan Bradley wants everyone that's in the Ryder Cup to play the Procore Championship as a warm-up to the Ryder Cup.
Interesting.
So we'll see.
So
of course, Bryson
yeah.
can't do it. The PGA won't let him play in it, but
yeah. We'll is that why you brought it up? Because one of your LIV guys can't play in the tournament?
I might have. So we were going to introduce a new segment. Tom has some thoughts about some pet peeves and some clueless people.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to call this the Boneheaded Clueless Actions of the Week, right? And we may tweak the name as we go along here.
Once we come up with a good name, I'll come up with a nice little slide for it.
I mean, this is a new segment, so we're gonna play this out. Now, most of it's going to be related to sports, but not necessarily all the time, right? So we have three clueless actions of the week that are going to be sort of highlighted here, right? So number 3 is the Little League World Series announcers. And so we got Carl Ravitch, Jessica Mendoza, and Todd Frazier. They announced the Little League World Series, right? Big event. And what they do in some of these, there's a lot of time in baseball that you've got to kill as an announcer. Not an easy sport to announce. And so with the Little League World Series, they'll put up, of these young players, right? These 12-year-olds, they have certain things about the players, right? So one of the things they were asking is like, what's your dream job? Right. And there was a kid pitching from Connecticut, Brian Palazzola, and his dream job was to be an actuary.
A what?
And an actuary. All right. Well, this is the point. And a buddy of mine that I worked with at my current company, we're both actuaries, right? So we are in that profession. And you've got this announcer, Carl Ravitch, deciding that he's going to bring this up, and right away he asks the other two, have they ever thought about being an actuary? Neither one of them, they both say no. Neither of them knows what an actuary is. So Carl decides that he's going to educate them on what an actuary is. And in doing so, he basically defines what a claims adjuster would be. He says it's somebody who's going to assess property damage, right? Assess the whatever the property damage. So so like a hurricane something happens, and someone's going to go in after the fact and look at the damage and come up with a number. That's not
what they do.
And then he said, "Well,
you don't do that."
That's not what we do. That's not what actuaries do, right?
I thought you were traveling all through Oklahoma
actuaries assess risk, right? They generally are going to work for insurance companies or consultants, right? Or sometimes even government agencies where they basically are putting a value on future uncertainty and risks and large amounts of future liability that you can face, right? So, my job is to assess mortality risk, right? And of pension plans, but there's all sorts of different risks that you're assessing, but you're using stats, data, math, all of these things to sort of quantify this, running models. And for this guy to sit up there, and here's a young kid who's maybe his father's an actuary, his uncle's an actuary, and he really
his
wants
uncle
to.
Or his grandfather.
It was completely botched, and it was sort of. I mean, Carl Ravitch just needs to be. It'd be like me saying, announce, Carl, what's your dream job? And Carl Ravitch has a dream job to be a play-by-play announcer, and he's writing articles after the game about the results. And that's how I would explain it if I was like, and I don't know, it just sort of rankled me. So anyway, that's Bonehead number one of the week. Now, Bonehead number two is Frank Reich, the Stanford coach.
Yeah, that's the one, Merle.
He basically, I was out in Vegas and I threw an in-play bet on Hawaii out there because I could see Stanford was not a very good team and they were giving good odds, right? But I was watching the way that Stanford was playing the game and they were running the ball up the gut and just shredding the Hawaii defense, right, with runs. Their quarterback was 15 for 30 for 109 yards. So you have the ball up 20-17 with about 5 or 6 minutes left, and you decide that you're going to have this guy, this quarterback, Ben Gulbranson, I think I got his name right, throw a ball, and when you're trying to grind the clock and salt the game away, and you've been running well all day, of course he throws a pick. This is the same guy who held the ball when Norwood kicked the ball right for Buffalo as the holder. He's also the guy that coached the Indianapolis Colts when Andrew Luck was there. And Andrew Luck has now given him a job as an interim coach at Stanford. I'm not sure it's going to last. But anyway.
Obviously going to keep doing this.
Throws it an interception. Hawaii then drives down the field and kicks the tying field goal to make it 20-20. Stanford still has 2 minutes left in all their timeouts. And instead of running the ball and utilizing timeouts, he throws the ball twice, incomplete passes, predictably. Gives the ball back to Hawaii, and Hawaii goes back. Right, Hawaii goes back down the field, and he dies with 3 timeouts. Never used a timeout, and Hawaii kicks, 40-yard field goal to win the game 23-20. Everyone was out there, bet on Hawaii. The place in Hawaii was going nuts. And Frank Reich should be thanked for this happiness
making
of
a lot
all
of
the Hawaiian
money.
fans who were out there cheering and won their bets. Maybe Frank Reich bet on Hawaii. I don't know.
I hope not, but you never know.
No, and I'm not saying that he did, but he coached like he did. Let's just put it that way.
That's pretty clueless.
All right, so and then
Any others?
We have one more. This is number one, and this is going to be named the airplane foot picker. This is number one, the airplane foot picker. So I get on a plane. You can see the photo here, right? And it's my leg on the left, and my companion in the middle seat. When I get on, I sit down, I get on, and that's what I see. That is the hand of the guy next to my leg, picking his bare feet left of the tray table with a computer. And I was like, am I really seeing this? Am I actually watching this live? And I was. And so now, after we kind of get through this foot picking component of this drama, he drops his feet down, and I'm like, okay, now he's going to put shoes on, right? No, we might as well have been on a beach, Scooter, right? He's got his foot on the metal thing between, there's a seat connector, like the metal part of the seat.
I know exactly where you mean.
You got to be kidding me! Like, we're not on a beach. We're on an airplane.
Well, maybe he wanted. He
did put his shoes on when he went up to go to the bathroom. So that was
God.
progress.
You don't want to pee on his feet. At least.
It was unbelievable.
Oh
so anyway, that's
number one. That's a worthy number one.
Bonehead Clueless actions of the week, and I don't think he thought anything of it. To be perfectly honest,
that is a very worthy number one, though.
Yeah. So anyway, we can move forward. This is the initial segment of.
Oh. Yes, a very, very worthy number one there. So we're going to pivot now to the closing games of week 1. We have some great games coming up this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm actually, before we actually talk about our picks, you have some college futures that we should go over. And then
Closing out the futures. We had
let's
a
close those
few.
out first before we actually pick
Yeah. And these were
current games.
actually analyzed. A lot of these were analyzed when I was out in Vegas, right? I hadn't really finished. I'm going to review 3 that I've already sort of given on this podcast, right? We had Baylor to win the Big 12 at 7-1. We had SMU to win the ACC at 8.5-1. And we had Utah over 8.5 wins with juice of plus 115. And there was some discussion about why I like those plays. I think, Baylor has this returning team of 18 guys. They look really strong. They got a great quarterback. And I just feel like they're the fluidity of that team. Now, the Big 12, as we saw from Iowa State, Kansas State, it's just going to be wild this year. I took the points. I think you almost just got to take the points in that league this year. SMU, I just like the fact that even though they're in that
like the
in
odds
Clemson,
too.
It's the odds bet, right?
Yeah.
To get 8.5-1. And we talked last week about Utah. So now these additional plays we talked a little bit about me liking Florida and Oklahoma. And I finally pulled the trigger and bet them both to win the SEC, 18-1 and 28-1. I just couldn't get away from those odds. They're still available on DraftKings. I also went back and took Baylor over 7.5 wins, so 8-4. I know it'll be a tough conference. They got a very difficult opener against Auburn, but they're home. I'm high on this team, so I think they can be 8-4 or better. I also, and this is a riskier bet, Oklahoma over 7.5 wins because of their schedule. But if they turn out to be as good as advertised and as good as some think they're going to be, to give me plus 120, they will have some cream puffs on that schedule.
Right.
They have to play Michigan, which will be a real battle. It's not going to be easy. But what I liked about it was I liked their team. I think they could be a team that makes the playoffs, and you're going to give me plus 120 on that over 7.5. So those are those are those top 4. And then I started looking through other opportunities. LSU at Circa, you're not going to get this, I don't think, any other sports book, was 25-1 to win the national championship. And they are a team that could sneak in, and it'll get better as the season goes on. And I like them at 25-1. I thought that was great odds. Florida State to make the playoff, they were horrible last year. But the year before, they should have been in, right? And they got that horrible, the quarterback went down, Travis Jordan.
And then they didn't pick them.
Right. So they reloaded. I think, make the playoff. They don't even have to win the ACC. They could be a strong second place team. But what I liked about it was most of these teams to make the playoff are only giving you 3 or 4. Even like teams like Illinois are not giving you 15-1. So I liked a long shot. All of these long shots, if you are betting, but then you don't bet a lot on them, right? You're trying to bet a little to make a lot. And then really the last 3 on here. Louisiana Tech over 5.5 wins in the Conference USA. That's going to be a wide open conference. They're a connected team. They have a lot of, and Phil Steele has them as a most improved team. I think they're going to be solid, and they've only got to get to 6-6.
Yeah.
They do have some tough teams they've got to play. I think they have to LSU on their schedule. They're going to have some automatic losses. But once they get into their conference play, I liked them over 5.5 wins. And then the last 2 on there are just some conference wins. Memphis is going to be in with Navy and Army and all these other teams, but you're giving me 5-1.
I saw those odds. I was a little surprised.
And they're supposed to be a good team again. Like I think they lost their quarterback. So they're not automatic. And Memphis will always throw a clunker or 2 up there. But you usually see them in shootouts, and they have a good record. So instead of betting on their win total, I threw a bit of a long shot at 5.2-1 for them to win. You can get that at Caesars. And then the final one, going to your daughter's conference, Coastal Carolina's conference, Southern Miss. this is a lift, clean, and place basically in golf. They basically lifted the coach, the quarterback, and a lot of other players out of Marshall, who won this conference last year, and put them in Southern Miss. And it was they loved the coach, but he could not negotiate the contract with Marshall. That's why he moved laterally. Southern Miss was horrible last year, but it's not the same team. And I'm like, give me 16-1. I'll throw a little pizza money on them to win the conference. So that takes care of those futures. And then you get to the Heismans. Again, I love the long shots. I got one that's not a long shot, right, with the LSU quarterback.
Right.
Garrett Nussmeier. I feel like nearly 10-1 on him. We know that Jalen won it a couple of years ago. And then these other three are long shots: Oklahoma, Utah, and Baylor's coach. All teams I like. John Mateer, Devin Dampier, and Sawyer Robertson. Robertson, you get to 80-1. Devin Dampier at 60-1. If these teams are hot and can get into the playoffs with a really good quarterback, maybe they get invited. And Mateer is for Oklahoma. Again, if they become a dominant team, I kind of like him at 25-1. And you got to look around to get the best odds. Do not be just go on any site. If you can't get these types of odds, do not take. You shouldn't be taking Dampier at 50-1. You want him at 60-1.
Right. I'll just to remind people some of my future picks. I had Syracuse over 5.5 wins. I had Clemson winning the ACC. I had Duke over 6.5 wins.
I like that one a lot.
I have North Carolina under 7.5 wins because
that's an emotional pick.
I don't like Bill Belichick. But I'll actually throw my picks up with Tom, so when I'll throw them back on Instagram, so you guys have them. But those are Tom's futures. Some great work there. You clearly had the time finally to sit down and go through everything out in Vegas.
This weekend helped me out.
That definitely helped
me
out.
Again, I really like. I mean, there's obviously win totals in here, but taking some of these strong teams for Heisman or winning the conference is, you only got to hit one of them, maybe two of them to beat. Right?
I don't see Oklahoma or Florida win the SEC. But
no, it's all about the value of the play.
You got great value there, right? You got great value there.
And there are some sites. These are some sites that give Oklahoma at 15-1. Yeah. So you've got sharp players that like Oklahoma, right? And I was able to get 28-1, and it might not last, right?
And I believe I did misspell Mater. I think
he's got it's 2 E's in his name.
My bad. Sorry about that. So now we'll continue with week 1 of the college football season. We have a couple of picks for the closeout week 1. I'll have Jonesy go first, and then I'll bring in mine.
Yeah. So on the college, I've got 4 games, and I'm looking at this Wisconsin game and really assessing, why do I like Wisconsin? I hate laying points, right? So my normal thing is to try to get the points. You can see that from the bottom 3. I'm an underdog player.
Yep.
I try to take teams that I feel like have a chance to win the game and are getting good value points. Wisconsin game, they're hosting a Miami, Ohio team who's probably going to be fine in their conference. But they're not good against these. Generally, their record against these upper echelon teams, and not that Wisconsin's upper echelon, but their power conference team, right?
Yep,
is generally not good.
I did look at that game. I didn't go with it because I just didn't want to lay that many points.
Right. I mean, if you start looking at projected box scores and some other items on this, Wisconsin just looks like they should win this game by about 25 points.
Yeah.
So, and they're gonna just kind of run through a smaller Miami team, and I don't really like the 17 with a hook necessarily, but I do think that they're just going to be so dominant against a team like Miami of Ohio that they're gonna run away with this game. And it's the only game of the week that I liked. I mean, there were other games where you could lay 35 or 40 points, and like, will Michigan boat race New Mexico? Probably they will. But now you're talking about the fourth quarter, you can get a backdoor cover. Somebody scores a touchdown. Yeah. I think Wisconsin will be, and Wisconsin has also got a pretty tough schedule. And so they're going, in fact, I think a very tough schedule. And so they're going to be like, this is a game they're going to come out wanting to establish themselves and win. So, and win convincingly. Now, these other games, when I was looking at Cincinnati, Nebraska, I was sort of analyzing this as close to an even game. But the Matt Rule is going to, I think, make Nebraska better. They're supposed to be stronger this year. But Cincinnati's a dark horse that could make noise in the Big 12. And this is at a neutral site. Nebraska will kind of dominate the fan base here. But I kind of feel like it's going to be a tight game. So give me the touchdown.
Exactly. If you think it's going to be tight, then take the points.
Baylor is at home against Auburn, right? And they're getting points. I love Baylor this year.
Yeah, I was surprised about this one. I even actually questioned you on it if you really were taking Baylor over Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that it might be my favorite play on the board. That and Virginia Tech, right? And no offense to South Carolina, but that's also, I believe, on a neutral site. So, South Carolina's got to show something to me. I know they've got the quarterback.
We'll
see
if he can...
I just, Virginia Tech's supposed to be strong, and they're getting over a touchdown, and it's not at South Carolina. So I just don't see why they are that big a favorite. And the other thing, Scooter, in these games that are sort of got teams that are from the power conferences and the bottom three do, is early on, I just prefer not to bet a ton of games because I think you get surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to take some dogs that I think could be dangerous. And, I don't want to be hurting myself with 15 plays the first weekend. So, I limit what they are, and I try to be very particular about the games I pick. And the one I went off a little bit the reservation was to lay 17.5 with Wisconsin, but I
couldn't do any big. I was, you can see my picks here. I didn't do anything big. I did the main games I cared about was Texas and Clemson.
Yeah, you went after the games that were the premier games.
Are the premier games.
I kind of was eyeing the Texas game because Ohio State's got the new quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they both do.
Well, they both do. But they have a ton of new players.
But Arch Manning's been in the system for a couple of years, right?
Now I will tell you, I'm going to start with Texas, Ohio, because that game really could be 31-28. That game could be 50-20. 24. It can really be anywhere on the reservation. You'd have no idea how this game is going to shake out until we see everyone actually perform. It's week 1. You don't know. But these are two premier programs. They're going to be in the national championship conversation for most of the season. I figured I'd take the points.
Right, that's not a bad strategy. And I also think one of the things about this is this could become, you put some scores out there. It could be a very low-scoring game.
Good.
You got the defenses are probably going to be ahead of these offenses, especially with the new quarterbacks. Yep. And they're going to know how to cover some of these schemes defensively. The Texas and Ohio State are very, very strong defensive teams and ranked very high. And they may feel out each other offensively in the beginning, right? So I think taking the dog, I like to take the dog. And what I've noticed is that the total's been bet down 3 points already from 51 to 47. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm not chasing an under when it drops that low, but I certainly would never be betting it over in this game until I saw what was going on, maybe an in-play bet. But I could see the score being 7-0 midway through the second quarter or 7-3, something like that. So,
my other game, obviously, I have Clemson and over LSU. I like Clemson. I picked them to win the ACC.
They're home.
Brian
Kelly does not generally have a good start to his seasons. He's struggled with that, but he's really focused on not having that happen this year. So that's the question. Is he going to be able to overcome the demons of Brian Kelly screws up another opening game because he's not prepared? I love the quarterback for LSU. The only problem I have with that, Scooter, is you're laying 3.5 points.
I am. But the value isn't there either. They're both minus 112. And then I threw a parlay of Texas and Clemson and got a little bit more value on it. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
When you say Texas and Clemson with the points or
Correct. With those spreads.
with the spreads?
Yep.
Okay, not money lines.
Not money lines. And then for Friday night, I have Colorado plus 4.5 over Georgia Tech.
Boy.
So on paper, Tech's got the steadier quarterback with Haynes to keep them on schedule. The question is everything in front of him, right? The O-line is pretty much completely new, except one returning starter.
Right.
Will they be ready week 1? If they're not, Colorado's defense, which profiles a top 20 defense last year, can make any play and should be able to handle whatever Georgia Tech's going to throw at them. Now, on the flip side, Tech's defense has a new defensive coordinator in Blake Gideon.
You did some research here. So
I did.
You
So
decided you don't like this Georgia Tech team.
I need Georgia Tech to be a down team this year to hit all my bets. But so last year, their defense, their soft spot was the vertical passing game. What is the one strength of Colorado? The vertical passing game. So I will take the 4.5 points, and I'll take Colorado.
Yeah, I mean the only issue I would have with this game is I just feel like Colorado and all the drama that's happened with all the Sanders, all 3 of them, right?
Yep.
One of them got cut from Tampa Bay and kicked out of the game
For he hit a player.
He punched somebody,
someone,
right?
Yeah.
And he's also got all sorts of lawsuit issues against him. And then you got Shador, who was 3 for 6 for 14 yards or something for the Browns.
Yeah, but the Browns are so bad.
Yeah, but he was fine earlier. Now there's a question about him. And then you got Dion, who's had not only some health issues, but now, I mean, he's overcome those, and he's really, the fact that he's on the sidelines is actually a great accomplishment. But will his team, with all that they've lost, is this going to be a year that he can sort of like this will determine how good a coach he is this season, because he's lost, right? He lost so much. And I think this Georgia Tech team, maybe you're not giving them quite enough credit, but it's going to be interesting.
I'm not.
This is why we have thin amount of bets here right now, right?
It's week 1. I mean, we don't know how these teams are really going to shake out overall. Like I said,
that's why I love the futures, because you can have one bad week and you got to bet for the whole season. You know, these week to week games can just, I mean, they're exciting, but they're hard to handicap.
Yeah. Next, we have the NFL. And we have a few NFL futures up here. We looked at, I sent Tom a message saying, let's go over the AFC and kind of see what we can do there. Next week, we'll do the NFC. I will actually take the lead this time. A couple of these picks are obviously chalk but when I looked at the AFC East, there's no matter what I think about or try to conjure up in my head, any way I look at it, I cannot. Buffalo is winning the East. It's just I know it's minus 310. You're not getting any value for your bet. But if you want to make a bet of who's going to win the AFC East, if you bet anyone else, it's just a sucker's bet, I feel. So I will take the pathetic odds.
We need them in the Super Bowl is what we need.
We need them in the Super Bowl. So we can actually hedge it a little bit and make sure we get some money. Then I looked at the AFC North, and here I took a little bit of value. I know Baltimore's probably going to take it down, but I did take Cincinnati. I still like, obviously, their offense, and
they had a big signing this week.
I just lost his name. Joe Burrow. Jesus. I love Joe Burrow. Their defense is always a question mark.
Yeah, they just signed, I think, their best defensive player, so that's going to be huge for them. He was he was a holdout. So.
Right. So I did take Cincinnati for the AFC North. I took, and same thing, I took Jacksonville for the AFC South. Listen, at some point, Trevor's got to do something. Lawrence has to do something. So I'm hoping it's this year.
Well, with a new coach, I think there's a lot of optimism.
There is.
That he will be able to help Lawrence be better, and he's got some weapons around him, including Hunter, right?
It's still shocking how bad Peterson was with him.
Yeah. Well, look at the last 2 coaches they've had.
I know.
Peterson and Urban Meyer.
That was a disaster.
Urban Meyer's a good dancer, at least at bars after a
At
game.
bars after games. And Tom doesn't like this one, but I did take Kansas City for the AFC West. Kind of same thing. Just every time I look at the conference, I just don't see how they don't pull it out. And then I have a couple of win totals. I like Jacksonville over 8.5, and I kind of took a flyer with Miami here just because someone in the AFC East has to win a few games.
I don't think it's the Dolphins, though.
I couldn't do it for New England. I just
Well, I don't
couldn't.
disagree with that. You'll see that
The
one.
only one I saw having those many wins, other than Buffalo, are the Dolphins. I don't see New England getting to 8.
I don't think any of them are going to win.
I listen. That's why it's plus 160. I don't either. But
Well, you're right. You're getting juice on that. Yeah. That's a fair point.
so those are my AFC future bets. That's what I got.
All right. So for mine, these were so I feel like Denver could be really good this year, right? I think their schedule is manageable. They've got the best, I think the second best offensive line. I always like to look at the offensive lines, right? Second best offensive line. So Bo Nix, even though he could be a sophomore slump candidate with it between the coach, right, and Sean Payton, is excellent at managing a game and managing a quarterback, and he's got a great line around him. They've got some decent skill players for him to throw to, and they have an unbelievable defense. So to me, if I'm going to get 350, 3.5 to 1, and this whole Chief thing of them missing the playoffs, to me, the reason I bet it was it's a value play, right? You're getting over 3 to 1. Last year, I bet the 49ers to miss the playoffs and got 4 to 1, and they were 6-11. Now, do I think the Chiefs are going to be 6-11? No. Do I think they're going to have some really rough games? And I think their their receiver Rice has got legal issues. Like, they're kind of a mess in some ways. I don't think their line's that good. And yet with Mahomes and Reed, right? Kelsey's a year older. Taylor
Still
Swift.
looks good,
Taylor Swift's going to get on the field and catch a pass for them again now that they're engaged. I mean, I don't know, but I just have to take Kansas City to miss the playoffs because I feel like I think this could be the year where you see them struggle. With you on Jacksonville. You got plus 140. I did a little better than that. I got plus 155.
I used bet 365. That's what I was.
I mean, this one I think I got out at circa. It's playable at either number, right? You're basically assuming they're going to be able to win 9 games and that they're going to bring these guys along. They're in a weak division. I don't like the Colts. A lot of people think the Colts are a good team. I got to see that. I watched Daniel Jones for too long to be betting on the Colts.
New
England.
He's a backup. He's a backup.
New England is he's starting.
I know, but he's not.
So New England's win total I think was started at 7.5, and it's moved to 8.5. And I know Mike Vrabel's a great coach. I can't get there. So what I did was I took them to alternately lose 11 games or more, or win under 6.5. So 6-11's a winner, and I get paid 3.5 to 1. Again, it's a value play. If you think New England's going to rise, and you think Drake May's going to be good, and Vrabel's going to bring them along, and they're going to beat the Jets in Miami twice, this is a bad bet. But I
don't think they beat Miami twice.
I think they're going to battle in every. I think they may lose to the Raiders in Week 1. So the whole point here is that I'm betting on value that they're going to be. They could even be improved and be 6-11.
Yes.
Right.
Well, they win last year.
So now suddenly they're going to be a 9-win team. I don't
see them being 9, but.
Well, I mean, that's what you'd have to play at them if you wanted to do it on the regular win total, right? Because the regular win total is 8.5, and that's probably going to give you a little juice if you go over.
And that's just gone up because I know.
The sharp players. I'm going against the grain.
Yeah.
There's people that really like the Patriots this year, and I'm not an anti-New England guy, but I just don't see it. So give me the value play here, and then a 43 to 1 shot. Now, I'm not sure I like the way the Steelers are constructed. and I wasn't going to bet them to win the division alone.
I'm a little surprised you did.
Yeah, I mean, I've always bet the Steelers. I like the Steelers. I don't like Aaron Rodgers,
I know.
but he's going. This is his last chance to prove that he can do something. I don't think the team's constructed very well, but he's going to kind of try to thwart the naysayers. So what I did was I said, if I'm going to bet him, I'm going to get a huge odds, and I'm going to go out on a limb and bet in a really weak conference. Can the Titans stand up and maybe shock people? I don't like this Texan team. They've got no offensive line. Stroud is good, but he makes mistakes. I think I'm tired of hearing how great the Texans. I don't think they're that good a team because their offensive line's not that good. And the Titans can play with the teams in that conference, I believe. There's no one that stands out. That's why we're betting on the Jaguars to win 9 games.
Yes.
So, and I don't like the Colt team. So I don't like the Colts. I don't like the Texans. And the teams I think are going to maybe be improved this year would be Jacksonville and Tennessee. So that it's a long shot. It's a small pizza topping money to try to get a 43-1 shot on 2 teams that I think could be dangerous if things go right for them. So it's on the value. These plays are value plays.
That's a value play. And it's great odds, 43-1. I mean, you gotta love that.
Right.
So those are our NFL and college picks for this week and our NFL futures. Also some college futures. That is going to do it for us, boys and girls.
And
that is episode 11.
Don't pick your feet on the airplane, please.
Don't pick your feet on the airplane.
Wear shoes. Save the feet, bare feet for the beach, or in your living room or whatever, right? But we don't need to do it on the airplane.
No. Join us next week. Next week, we'll go over the NFC East. We'll also look at week 2 of the...
I think we're going over the whole NFC next week, right?
I said NFC East. Yes, the entire NFC, not just the East.
And we'll have some college plays, and we're going to start gearing up for our college contest. And so there's a lot going on here.
Yep. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, and we will see you next week.
Yep.